The American car industry is a pillar of the nation's economy, shaping not just the landscape of cities like Detroit, but also the lives of millions of Americans across the country. From the heartland to the coasts, the auto sector's influence can be seen in bustling factories, busy dealerships, and the daily commute of families everywhere. It supports millions of jobs, from skilled assembly line workers in Michigan to sales teams in California, and countless suppliers and small businesses in between. The ripple effect of the industry stretches far beyond the factory floor, touching communities large and small. For over a century, companies like Ford have symbolized American strength, resilience, and innovation. These brands are woven into the fabric of American identity, representing not just products but progress and pride. The health of the auto industry is directly tied to the financial well-being of countless families, providing stable jobs and opportunities for generations. When factories thrive, so do neighborhoods, schools, and local businesses. When the car business thrives, so does the country. New car sales mean more jobs, more tax revenue, and a stronger economy for everyone. But in early 2025, a storm gathered on the horizon. The Trump administration announced sweeping changes to trade rules, sending shockwaves through the industry and raising questions about the future. These new policies targeted foreign trade, aiming to protect American industries from overseas competition and bring manufacturing jobs back home. But the modern car industry is a global puzzle, with parts sourced from dozens of countries. Engines, electronics, and steel often cross borders multiple times before a car is finished. Sudden rule changes threaten to disrupt this delicate balance, putting supply chains at risk and making it harder for companies to plan for the future. The announcement of new tariffs created immediate uncertainty. Stock prices wobbled, and business leaders scrambled to understand the impact on costs and competitiveness. Tariffs are taxes on imports, designed to make foreign goods more expensive and encourage consumers to buy American-made products. But they can also raise prices for everyone, including manufacturers and buyers. In today's interconnected world, the line between American and foreign is blurry. Many so-called American cars contain parts from all over the globe, and foreign automakers build vehicles in U.S. factories. Car makers, workers, and consumers all worried about rising costs, job security, and the possibility of layoffs or higher prices at the dealership. The uncertainty weighed heavily on families and communities alike. Ford, an iconic American automaker, found itself at the center of this storm. The company faced tough choices about how to adapt and protect its legacy. The company had to act quickly to protect its business, workers, and customers from the chaos ahead, navigating a rapidly changing landscape with resilience and determination. The Trump administration's trade policies hit in waves. First, a 25% tariff on imported steel and aluminum, the backbone of car manufacturing. This move immediately raised costs for car makers. Next, a sweeping 25% tariff on all fully assembled vehicles imported into the U.S. The goal: make foreign-built cars more expensive and push companies to build in America. For consumers, prices on popular imports jumped overnight. The third wave, a planned 25% tariff on all imported auto parts. Even American-assembled cars rely on global suppliers for engines, chips, and more. This final tariff threatened to raise costs across the board, causing panic in the industry. The administration's America First policy aimed to bring jobs and production home, but it was a high-stakes gamble, risking massive disruption for uncertain gains. The tariffs threw the auto industry into chaos. Overnight, what had been a finely tuned machine was suddenly grinding to a halt. News of the tariffs spread rapidly, and the shock waves were felt in every corner of the industry, from the largest automakers to the smallest suppliers. Carefully built supply chains became liabilities overnight. Factories that once ran on just-in-time deliveries now faced empty shelves and mounting delays. Managers scrambled to find alternative sources, but few options existed. Parts that were affordable one day became 25% more expensive the next. Suppliers were forced to pass on these costs, and automakers had little choice but to accept them, or risk halting production. Ford, building most of its vehicles in the U.S., still relied on imported parts. Even a single missing component could stop an entire assembly line, making the company vulnerable despite its domestic focus. The looming tariff on components threatened the profitability of its top models. Engineers and executives pored over spreadsheets, searching for ways to cut costs without sacrificing quality. Ford halted some shipments and faced daily operational disruptions. Trucks sat idle, and finished vehicles waited for parts that might not arrive for weeks. General Motors had tried to prepare, but no one was fully shielded. Contingency plans were quickly overwhelmed by the scale and speed of the crisis. Companies relying on imported vehicles like Toyota and Hyundai faced even bigger challenges. Their business models depended on global supply chains, and the tariffs hit them hardest. The tariffs made their products uncompetitive in the U.S. market. Showrooms grew quiet as customers balked at higher prices, and sales teams struggled to explain the sudden increases. The confusion spread to thousands of smaller suppliers who suddenly faced skyrocketing costs. Many worried about staying afloat, as contracts were renegotiated and payments delayed. Many businesses paused investments and hiring, unsure of what would come next. Plans for expansion were shelved, and uncertainty became the new normal. The ripple effect created widespread economic anxiety. Workers worried about layoffs, and families braced for tough times ahead. No one wanted to commit to big decisions as the rules kept changing. Boardrooms filled with tense discussions, and every day brought new questions with few answers. The entire industry was forced into survival mode, bracing for a future that seemed more uncertain than ever before. Ford knew it had to act fast. The automotive landscape was shifting rapidly, and the company faced mounting pressure from both economic uncertainty and looming tariffs. With competitors scrambling to adjust, Ford's leadership realized that bold action was needed to protect its legacy and its future in the American market. In April 2025, it launched From America for America, a sweeping initiative that offered employee pricing to all U.S. customers, not just Ford workers. This was an unprecedented move in the industry, designed to make new vehicles more accessible to everyday Americans at a time when affordability was top of mind. Anyone could walk into a Ford dealership and buy a new car or truck at the same low price as company employees, leveling the playing field for families and individuals across the country. This bold move left little room for profit, but Ford doubled down on supporting its dealers, ensuring they had the resources and incentives to make the program a success. The company worked closely with its nationwide network to keep morale high and operations running smoothly. The program ran for a limited time only, creating a sense of urgency among buyers who wanted to lock in savings before tariffs drove prices even higher. Showrooms buzzed with activity as customers rushed to take advantage of the deal. It was both a marketing masterstroke and a political statement, capturing the attention of the media and the public alike. News outlets covered the story nationwide, highlighting Ford's commitment to American consumers. Ford positioned itself as the true American champion, building trust with consumers and reinforcing its reputation as a brand that stands with the people. The campaign was backed by a patriotic advertising blitz across TV, newspapers, and social media, saturating the airwaves and digital platforms with messages of unity and resilience. Taglines like, "Always moving forward, never leaving America behind," cut through the noise, resonating with customers who valued loyalty and homegrown values. Ford's message was clear: we build here, we support you, and we're on your side. The company's American workforce and commitment to domestic manufacturing were front and center. The strategy aimed to reassure customers, strengthen community ties, and reinforce Ford's American identity at a pivotal moment in the nation's automotive history. Ford's move forced competitors to react. Stellantis quickly launched its own employee pricing program and patriotic ads, highlighting its American brands. The tariff debate became a contest over which company was most American. Toyota aired ads emphasizing its U.S.-built Tundra, reminding buyers of its American investment. Hyundai promised not to raise prices for 2 months, absorbing tariff costs to reassure customers. These responses were both commercial and political, aiming to protect market share and influence public opinion. The industry scrambled to keep up with Ford's aggressive strategy. The battle for American loyalty was on. Patriotic ads painted a simple picture, but the truth was more complicated. The idea of a car being 100% made in America is a myth. Modern vehicles are assembled from parts sourced globally. Ford assembles 80% of its U.S. vehicles domestically, but about half the parts are imported. Engines from Mexico, electronics from Asia. No automaker is immune. Even Tesla's Model 3 contains imported content. The tariffs expose this reality, threatening to raise costs for every car built in America. The very companies the tariffs aimed to help were at risk. Patriotic campaigns distracted from the uncomfortable truth: global supply chains are essential. The industry's dependence on foreign parts couldn't be hidden for long. Tariffs risked punishing American factories as much as foreign ones. News of tariffs sparked a rush to dealerships. Buyers hurried to lock in prices before increases hit. March 2025 saw the best car sales in 4 years. Ford and Stellantis, with bloated inventories, used employee pricing to clear out old stock. The strategy solved 2 problems: capitalizing on consumer fear and reducing excess inventory. Sales had been weak before the tariff chaos, so the surge was a welcome boost. Aggressive promotions masked underlying market weakness. The clearance sale gave companies breathing room, but it was a temporary fix. The industry's deeper challenges remained unresolved. The car industry's turmoil rattled the stock market. Investors, spooked by uncertainty, dumped auto stocks. Stellantis' stock plunged 14%, GM's fell over 5%. Ford fared better, dropping just 1.4%, thanks to its swift response and U.S. manufacturing base. Wall Street saw Ford's strategy as smart crisis management. Despite a sales surge, the economic outlook was grim. Tariffs threatened to drive up costs and slow spending, raising fears of recession. Major banks warned of a 60% chance of U.S. and global recession by year's end. The threat of factory shutdowns and job losses loomed. The industry enjoyed a short-term sales boom but faced long-term risks. The future felt more uncertain than ever for companies and workers alike. The very policies meant to protect American jobs now threatened to undermine them. The auto industry was caught between a fleeting boom and a looming bust. Ford's bold strategy helped it weather the initial storm. The From America for America campaign boosted sales and stabilized its image. But the core problem, disrupted global supply chains, remained. The threat of tariffs on parts made long-term planning nearly impossible. Companies scrambled to adapt, but unpredictability stifled investment and growth. Workers faced job insecurity, despite being celebrated in ad campaigns. If manufacturing costs soared or a recession hit, layoffs were inevitable. Ford's aggressive response was a short-term fix for a long-term crisis. The road ahead for the American auto industry was filled with uncertainty. The battle for survival, and for the future of American manufacturing, was just beginning.